Hi, I'm Tash and today I'm here with part 3 of your Raise Room Geothrow video series. You'll find the pattern for this one at raiseroom.co.uk and check out my last few videos for colour inspiration, getting started and getting your geothrow to this point here. So if you followed along up until now, you'll be at this point where you've got block 1 done. And today I'm going to show you how you're going to start block 2 whilst joining it to block 1. I'm also going to show you how to change colour whilst joining on an increase row. So as directed in the written pattern, you should have a stitch marker placed where you started on block 1. And this is where we're going to start and join block 2. And we're going to work our way up, joining the right side of block 1 to the left side of block 2. So you're going to start off by putting a slip knot on your hook in colour A. Then we're going to join into where you placed your stitch marker on block 1, insert your hook as close to the corner knot as you can and work a slip stitch. So from here we want our usual chain of 6 that we use to start at the beginning of every increase row. But we are going to stop after the first 3 chains to create a slip stitch to join and then create the last 3 of the 6 chains after that. So first up it's a chain of 3, and then once we've got that chain of 3 we can then do our slip stitch to join to block 1 in the space between these 2 squares here on block 1. And then we can go ahead and work our second chain of 3, which together gives us that chain of 6 that we always start with at the beginning of an increase row. Now, whereas when we normally start an increase row, we do our 3 trebles into the last 3 chains, and because these chains are now fixed at either end, we can just crochet into the space that they've created. So we're going to go in there with our 3 trebles. And that is now row 1 of block 2 complete and joined to block 1. So next we're going to start row 2 just here. And because this row starts on an edge that isn't being joined to anything, this is just exactly the same as what we did when we were doing increases on block 1. So we start with the chain of 6 and then we treble into the 4th, 5th and 6th chain away from our hook. And then just as we have done with the rest of the pattern in block 1, we can slip stitch into the space between the treble and the chain just here to step up and get the second square of row 2 done. So as you can see, that now brings us back to a position where we need to join again. So at the end of row 2, beginning of row 3, we're going to want to do some slip stitches to keep us joined to block 1. So now you're going to slip stitch again in between the 2 squares that you've come closest to on block 1, which means that row 2 of block 1 and 2 line up. So now we can go ahead and start row 3 with our chain of 6, but remember, because this is a joining edge, that chain of 6 is broken up with a slip stitch halfway through, and you're doing that slip stitch in the space between the 2 squares that you come closest to on block 1. Then we can do our 3 trebles into that space created by that last chain of 3 that we worked, and off you go back in the other direction to complete row 3. And as you can see, we're starting to create exactly what we did on block 1 with block 2, but whilst joining it to block 1. And each row that you're working on block 2 should always line up with block 1. So the first colour change on this block comes on a non-joining row. So we are going to change colour exactly the same as how we've been changing colour on the increase rows of block 1. So on the last yarn over, on the last treble before a colour change, we are going to just yarn over with the new colour and away we go. Now your next colour change is going to end up over on the joining edge. So I'm going to show you how to do that next. So when we get to this point where we are ready for a colour change and we're on an increase row on a joining edge, so once you've completed the last treble of the last row in the old colour and you want to change to your new colour, you're picking up the new colour at the slip stitch point. So right here, when we're about to place our slip stitch to join between the 2 squares on block 1, this is where we pick up our new colour. So we just get it into position and we bring it through for the slip stitch. And then you can begin your chains again from there. So chain of 3. So this would be the first chain of 3 in the chain of 6 that we always use to start any increase row, but don't forget we need to keep joining as we go, so we're going to slip stitch after the 3 chains in between the next 2 squares we come to on block 1. Then another chain of 3 to make 6. Then we can turn and start working back in the other direction in our new colour. And you can just detach your old colour, get that one out of the way, otherwise we end up in a bit of a tangle, and you can just continue working like that. So the next time a different technique comes in, other than the ones that I've shown you already, is on block 6 when we join on decrease rows. So all joining up to that point is going to happen on increase rows, which is what I've just shown you. And my next video is going to show you how, when you come to block 6, to join on a decrease row. So happy stitching, and I will see you back here for video 4 in the Geothrow tutorial series. Hit follow now to make sure you don't miss it. Please feel free to pop your questions in the comments. And for more support with this pattern and lots more, join the Raise Room Crafters Facebook group. Don't forget to save this video so that it's easy for you to find, and let me know in the comments how's your geothrow coming along.